there's a lot of room for miscommunication in the language we use in our day-to-day lives. Euphemism, metaphor, it's enough to get lost in. But we need this complexity. We lead complex lives, we talk about complex ideas, and we need language that's twisted and sophisticated enough to express these ideas to the world. The problem arises when, with words that have double or quadruple meanings, the meanings start to bleed into each other over time. Use a word with a negative connotation to describe a negative idea, and you will associate both with additional negative things. This does also work in the reverse. A positive word to describe a positive thing, and both are associated with more positive qualities. The language we use changes meaning to reflect what we use it to mean. Nice no longer means silly, little, or subtle, but has evolved to mean pleasant or kind, with an undertone of unremarkable. Words change meanings to reflect the meaning we use them for. Gay, for instance, no longer refers to light-hearted happiness. That's fine. We needed a colloquial term for homosexual, so we adopted an old word to mean a new thing. It's important to note that we have a couple of hundred other words for happy. By adopting gay to mean homosexual, we weren't leaving a gap in language that we didn't have words to describe. However, when we begin to evolve the word gay further by using gay or homo as a negative adjective, we start to reflect the negative connotations that we've created by misuse back onto the group of people we use the word to describe. For the most part, I'm all for the evolution of language. Words need to change to reflect the new meanings we need. We add new words to the dictionary every year, sometimes a long time after they've been in colloquial use. Hater, for instance, was not in use 10 years ago. But now we have it. We no longer need to refer to the majority of people in, say, YouTube comments as viciously rude and undereducated malcontents. Instead, we can just say hater, and the subtext is understood. Most of the words we use to describe mental health have evolved to have very negative connotations. Some of them were even created to be insults. And the problem here is that we start to use the words we need to talk about mental health in a clear, correct way. We start to create gaps in language, so we don't have the words to say what we mean. Instead, we leave ourselves with insults and a lexical gap. I was walking through the Vic markets, and I noticed a shirt. It was for a child, probably between the ages of 4 and 6. It was small and black, and across the front, in block letters, in bright pink, it said, "Cute, but psycho." The word psycho comes from the word psychosis, which refers to a mental state where thoughts and feelings are so intense that it becomes hard to determine what is real. But popular misuse of the word has confused the definition, and that starts to reflect back on the group of people or the condition that that word describes. Because of this, I have absolutely no idea what the designer of that t-shirt intended it to mean. They probably didn't intend to ascribe a very complex mental illness to a 6-year-old. As the purpose of language is to communicate, creating vague definitions like this is truly problematic. There are so many words that we misuse in this manner. Gay, psycho, retarded, schizo, spaz. And by using these words, it becomes really hard to use them in their intended context. We lose the ways to talk about these things. And we start to reflect the negative connotations that using these words as negative adjectives creates back onto the vulnerable groups of people that we use the words to describe. Language has this huge power, and we need to get better at using it. Imagine a world where we thought before we spoke. Not all the time, but sometimes. We can't eliminate confusion. Misunderstanding will always be an integral part of the hit and miss of communicating. But we can minimize hurt. We can use language more carefully. Imagine a world with just a little less misunderstanding, a little more clarity, a little less fear of marginalized groups of people. We do have other words to use as negative adjectives. And you don't have to speak positively all the time. We need the full spectrum of words to describe the full spectrum of our emotions and our reactions to the human experience. But we have, in almost all cases, the words to say what we mean, using words that actually mean what we're saying. With a little effort, we can be so astonishingly, amazingly articulate. We just have to try. Thank you very much.